Hello, everyone. It's John. Today, I am not your Indian Cinemaniac. I am just your Cinemaniac because today I am going to review The Flash. Everyone knows I'm a big superhero movie genre fan. And, this movie has been in production, I think, for about 4 years. And I was kind of excited to see it because Michael Keaton is returning as Batman. So I thought that was really cool. So I saw this 2 nights ago. I did a little reaction after the film that I posted, but this is going to be a little long review. And I'll start off with non-spoilers, and then there will be a spoiler section. So if you don't want to learn anything about the film, then skip the second half of this, okay? And because this is a little bit different, some of you, some of you might not be the Indian Cinemaniac fan base. So please subscribe, hit the notification button, and smash the like button. It really does make a difference. Okay, The Flash. This was directed by Andy Muschietti, who I think has just been James Gunn has just picked him to direct the Batman Brave and the Bold. So it stars Ezra Miller, Ben Affleck, Michael Keaton, obviously, and I want to get the woman's name in it too. Sasha Kali, I think her name is. She plays Supergirl. And there's some cameos in there too. Okay, so what did I think about this movie? If anyone knows the Flash comic Flashpoint, which is a great comic, this borrows a lot from that. It's not an adaptation of it. It's kind of a semi-adaptation. I think the comic was actually much better. Actually, there's an animated Flashpoint that's excellent. But that's what they did. They borrowed some of this. And Flash decides that he figures out he can go back in time and he wants to prevent his mother from being murdered. And then once he does that, he alters the timeline and all kinds of stuff happens. And then the multiverse comes in effect. And that's when you get all the cool cameos. Okay, that's just on the plot. Everybody knows the plot from the trailers. So first, let me say this. People who I respect, Nerdrotic, The Critical Drinker, RK Outpost. I mean, these are podcasts that I listen to who I really respect. They roasted this movie. They hate this movie. And that was not my reaction to The Flash. I actually really liked it. And I didn't like everything about it, but compared to some of the superhero films that have been coming out the last 2 years, this was one of the best ones. Was it the best superhero movie ever, as some have claimed? Absolutely not. Okay. Now, there's a few things. One, Ezra Miller is a freak show and should probably be in jail. So, you know, once you get over that initial, this person's disgusting, you just move on to the movie. So I actually thought he was pretty good in this. I think he's totally miscast as the Flash. If you know the comics, he's not the right character for it. Too goofy. But he plays a dual role, which everyone has seen in the trailer. So I'm not giving anything away. He plays a younger version of Barry Allen, and they have a lot of fun with that. The older Barry realizes how annoying the younger Barry is, so he's admitting how annoying he is. Kind of a wink and a nod to the audience too, because that's a big complaint about Ezra Miller. But there's some really emotional scenes with him and his mother that I think they do a good job. And I got a lot of complaints about the special effects in this film, the CGI. But when they interacted with each other, that was pretty incredible. It was really seamless. I never felt like, he was in front of a green screen or whatever. It felt like two people interacting. So that I like, and they were two distinct personalities too. So that I did enjoy. Now the first hour is really all Ezra Miller, and if you don't like Ezra Miller, you're going to hate the first hour. I didn't mind it so much. The audience and the audience I was with, and we had a packed house. They thought most of his stuff was pretty funny, and there were some funny stuff in it. I think they overdo the humor with him, but it really gets going when he finally hooks up with Michael Keaton's Batman. And that was, the audience responded to that in a major, major way. And the callback to the 89 movie, a lot of the lines. And again, the audience reacted to it. They were applauding when they showed the Batmobile, when he did his lines. Yeah, I'm Batman. They laughed. When he said, "You want to get nuts?" They laughed. I mean, it was really great the way they did that. Then the Batwing. So people appreciated Keaton. There wasn't enough of Keaton, as far as I'm concerned. But I think he was probably the best thing in the movie. And Keaton slipped into the suit like he never left it. So I appreciated that. The Sasha Kali, again, I think that's her name, as Supergirl. I wasn't sure where they were going to go with this because in the comic book, it's Superman. It's not Supergirl. So I thought maybe this was going to be one of these woke deals where, she's going to be a better Superman than Superman because she's a woman. And that wasn't the case at all. I actually thought she was pretty good. She just wasn't in it very much. So, it was okay. And then the final scene where they fight Zod. And again, for some reason, they tied it to the Man of Steel and General Zod. And that's the whole climax of the film is a battle with him. And that's where it got a little stupid. Like, in the Flash lore, Zod's got nothing to do with it. And Michael Shannon, who reprised his role, it looked to me like he was a floating head in a CGI suit. It wasn't Michael Shannon in the suit. It was just his head. And it kind of looked like that. And it was one of those typical CGI battles with a gray background with a lot of nondescript people fighting. So that wasn't great. But overall, I really did like this movie. And if you compare it to, again, I said this at the beginning, if you compare it to some of the superhero films that have come out, Black Adam, Shazam, all the latest Marvel stuff in the movies and on TV, it was way better than that. So I don't know the hate on this one that I'm hearing from people. I mean, the CGI was garbage. I mean, it really was awful. And there's a scene where he's saving a bunch of babies at the beginning of the movie, and the babies look terrible. They look like cartoon characters. And there were other times when they were in the multiverse where the cameos came in, and I'll talk about that in the spoiler section, where it looked like the Polar Express, that creepy dead eyes CGI, and I felt it was really kind of unnecessary. So the effects were not good, but the story I liked. Again, it was not Flashpoint. I think Flashpoint, I would have rather have seen Flashpoint. But as far as if this is the end of the DC universe before Gunn takes over and is going to change everything, I think it was pretty good. Affleck was really good in it, and he looked like he enjoyed himself. There were a couple other cameos. Again, I'll talk about that in the spoilers. But I think if you like superhero movies, Marvel or DC, I think you'll like this movie. And again, Ezra Miller was pretty good in this. I thought he was a little annoying, like he always is, but there were scenes that had some real emotional impact. And my other complaint about Ezra Miller, I don't know what the hell is the deal with the way he runs in these movies. It looks so silly the way he's running. I mean, if you watch the Flash TV show, it's totally different. And he does this thing where he's almost swimming. It just looks stupid. So I'm not quite sure about that. And I wasn't crazy about the Flash costume either. They kind of gave him a helmet, which, in the comics, it's a tight fitting cowl. So, but again, if I were to rate this movie 1 to 10, I'd probably give it about a 6.5 to 7. And I'll tell you, the audience responded in a big way. They applauded at the end, which I didn't expect. So go see this movie. I think you'll enjoy it. And let me know what you think about it in the comment section, because it is getting a lot of hate. And I want to know if you agree with that hate or you found it enjoyable. Okay. So now I'm going to do spoilers. So I'm going to give you a few seconds to stop watching and we'll get spoilers. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Spoilers. So he's trying to save his mother, who got murdered when he was a kid. So he goes back in time and changes it so she doesn't get murdered and the father doesn't get pinned for the crime. As a result of that, superheroes don't exist in this world that he's now in. And because some evil being pushed him out of the Speed Force and knocked him out of the time continuum. You don't know who that is till the end of the movie. Spoilers, it's Flash. So, and that's no big surprise. If you watch the TV show, you read the comics, you know that. The Keaton stuff I really liked. He's kind of a hermit now because Gotham City is all cleaned up on this parallel Earth. And his introduction was great. And the whole they're trying to explain time with Spaghetti and Back to the Future, where Eric Stoltz plays Marty McFly in this iteration of the multiverse. So he realizes that the only way he can set time straight is to let the mother die. So he's got to reverse what he did to change that time frame. And that's a pretty powerful scene when he finally meets her and he knows she's going home to die. And I thought that was a really strong scene. And both the woman who played his mother and Ezra Miller played that really well. The Supergirl stuff, again, I liked her in this. I would have preferred Superman. That's what the original Flashpoint was, but they played it okay. But she kept getting weak after she'd fight, and I didn't quite understand that because she's from Krypton, just like Kal-El, so that shouldn't have happened. But she's beating up Zod, and now she's got the Codex, and if you've seen Man of Steel, you know what the Codex is, and it just that was kind of that whole thing at the end was just kind of silly. Okay, so the big reveals was in the multiverse, the cameos. And there's been rumors, they've been hinting about it, but you see Adam West as the '60s Batman. You see George Reeves as the '50s Superman. You see Christopher Reeve and Helen Slater as Superman and Supergirl. But the longest one was Nick Cage as Superman, which was from Superman Lives, I think was the movie that he was going to be in. Tim Burton was going to direct it. And that goes on forever. He fights a giant spider, which the producer of the movie wanted him to do. And that was a long scene. And then he turns to the camera and everyone reacted real positively. My problem with all the cameos, it was CGI. They looked fake. And there was no rhyme or reason to why they were doing it. So blink and you'll miss them, right? I know a lot of people are seeing this movie just for those cameos, but I don't know. It was okay. I think the most realistic one was Christopher Reeve and Helen Slater, but even that looked fake. And Nicolas Cage definitely looked fake, but that got the biggest reaction from the audience. And then other spoilers, Batman dies and Supergirl dies. And young Barry Allen is trying to reverse time to prevent that from happening and tries over and over and over again and can't change their fate. As a result, he becomes a bad guy. And that's who pushes the Flash out of the Speed Force in the beginning of the movie. That's what you find out. So, and then two things at the end. So he thinks he's restored time because the mother gets killed, but he was able to get the father's conviction overturned with something clever, which, see the movie, you'll figure that out. But then he calls Batman, or Batman calls him to congratulate him on what happened with his father. And you see the fancy car pull up and all the reporters go up to it. And who steps out of the car but George Clooney as the worst Batman ever. And what was funny was, it's a PG-13, but Ezra Miller says, "Who the F are you?" And the audience reacted in a big, big way. So he did alter time. And that's supposed to set up the sequel. I don't know if there's going to be a sequel. I don't think it's making enough money to make a sequel. Okay, so that's how it ends. Then they do the credits. Then is there an after credit scene? Yes, there is. And here's my advice to you. Don't stay for the after credit scene because it's dumb. Stupid. He has an after credit scene with Jason Momoa as Aquaman. And he's drunk. Aquaman, because Flash can't get drunk. And that's really all it is. They're talking and talking. He passes out in a puddle. And that's it. So, and you have to wait through all the credits, and the credits are long. And you should have heard the groan from the audience that I saw. One other complaint I have, they finally did the Flash ring. And for those of you who don't know, in the comics, he's got a ring with a compressed suit. So he clicks the ring, the suit pops out, he flashes into it. Well, in this movie, the thing's this big, okay, with a big lightning bolt on it. So anyone looking down on his hand going to know he's the Flash. It's stupid. Okay, so that's it. Listen, I like this movie, and if you like the genre and you've been disappointed by all the crap that's come out, I would say go see this movie. I found it enjoyable. It wasn't perfect, and again, the special effects were not good, but the Keaton stuff is fantastic. And Ezra Miller, I thought, did a pretty decent job, even though he's an awful human being. I thought he was pretty good in this. So check it out. And that's all I have to say about this film. I think that was 10-ish minutes. So I don't do these current movies very often, but I did want to talk about this one because this is my favorite genre. So that's what I think about The Flash. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And again, as always, if you enjoyed this, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button, and hit that like button. Thanks a lot, everyone. Have a great day. We'll talk to you soon.